There's like a group of punks, and they have like mohawks and leather jackets and studs and like leopard print. There's like older protagonists that wear like zip up like track suits, like walking around, and then there's one there's one black guy in the whole like group, and he's got a jerry curl.
My name is Corey Evans, and I am not a rock star. I am a caffeine junkie, licensed minivan operator, touring musician, and a proud American. Ride with me as I tour the greatest country on earth and talk to the real rock stars, our local legends, small town heroes, and those who bravely serve our country. And even though I'm not a rock star, I do live a pretty rock and roll life. This is it. This is America. This is the Not a Rock Star podcast.
All right, guys, welcome back to Not a Rock Star. It is Thursday, October 30th, and this guy is back by popular demand. I'm going to let you reintroduce yourself to the
Sam,
people.
again, in the flesh.
Still Sam Blalock, right?
As far as I know.
Yeah, so last name still Blalock, first name Sam, and Sam is back. He was here 2 weeks ago, and if you guys remember, we talked about the movie Halloween, and he was such a popular guest, not just with the audience, but Toby loved editing him. And we had so much fun that we decided to bring him back today. Now, let me tell you guys what we're doing today. Tomorrow is Halloween. So we're going to do another fun episode. We've been on this streak of just fun stuff to do for October. We did the movie Halloween. Last week we had the comic book and collectibles episode. And today, Sam and I are going to be designing what we think is the greatest Halloween party of all time. We're going to compete against each other. So we both are going to choose 12 things that we want at a Halloween party. And we have 4 different categories. Okay, so Toby's going to be throwing stuff up on the screen, but the 4 categories are movies, music, food, and games. And we originally threw out the idea that we would both have to pick 3 items each in each category. So 3 movies, 3 albums or 3 playlists or whatever, 3 food items, 3 games. But we decided to not do that. We actually can choose as many as those things as we want, as long as we at least choose one of each. So we both have to at least choose 1 movie, 1 game, 1 food item, and 1 playlist or album. But you can choose, 5 items of food and 1 movie or whatever. You can mix and match. And we're going to do this like a draft pick. So we flipped a coin. I get to go first. And then Sam is going to get the next 2 picks. And then I'm going to get the next 2 picks. And we're going to go back and forth. And then at the end of this episode, we're going to see who designed the better Halloween party. And the only rules is once he chooses something, I can't have it at my party. And neither one of us can choose the movie Halloween. Because it's just not fair. So that's the rules. You ready to get into this?
I'm ready. Born ready.
Anything you want to tell the people before we start this?
Man, it's that time of year. Like you said, Halloween's tomorrow. This is not a drill. So really excited.
Yep, and there's a few other things I need to mention. We're going to pretend like this Halloween party is happening on a Saturday. So this is the ultimate Halloween party. In fact, next year in 2026, Halloween will be on a Saturday. So just pretend that Sam and I are designing the ideal Halloween party for a big shindig that happens on Saturday. So nobody has to be anywhere. And nobody has to go to work the next day.
Best case scenario for a Halloween party.
Best case scenario. All right. So my number 1 pick, I'm taking chili.
All right.
And I'm taking it because not only do I think it's tasty, and not only do I feel like I have recently mastered how to make chili, but there's a lot that goes with it. You can have different kinds of shredded cheese. You can have Frito scoops. You can have crackers, oyster crackers, sour cream, maybe a little salsa. And all of it is fair because that is all stuff people put in their chili. Diced onions. So I'm going to have chili at my party. That's going to be my main food. And I'm going to have all the little accoutrements, all the cheeses, all the crackers, the Frito scoops, and diced onions, whatnot, sour cream. So that's my number one pick. All right, you get the next two picks.
All right. So I'm going to kind of do this chronologically in like the order of like, because I'm thinking food too. It's the morning, had a little bit of breakfast, so I'm little munchy feeling. So I'm going to start off, with a little icebreaker as guests are coming in. We're going to have a couple of just real easy little finger food classics. We're going to have some Chex Mix, just a nice little fall blend, some salty, some cheesy, some crunchy, some not so crunchy mixed in. And gonna have a little bit of Jiffy Pop as well. Not just regular popcorn, Jiffy Pop, because we're gonna get cozy. We're gonna get nostalgic in here. And so perfect ratio of butter and popcorn, in my opinion. It's that Jiffy Pop. A lot of labor, but it's a labor of love.
All right, so we both have the same idea. We're trying to get our food in place.
Yeah,
I was wondering what you would do. So you came out of the gate, well, you got some different types of Chex Mix.
Yeah.
And you got Jiffy Pop. All right, so for my next pick, I gotta look down. I'm taking s'mores.
Okay.
Now, it would be unfair if I tried to get super elaborate and name like 10 different types of chocolate. Because at the end, after both of us have chosen our 12 items, we're going to go back and forth and both pick 5 types of Halloween candy also. So for this pick, I feel like it's only fair that I get graham crackers, Hershey's, and marshmallows. And that's all I can list with the s'mores. Because everything I said with the chili is fair. That's what people eat with chili.
Correct.
But I'm not going to get mega elaborate. That would be cheating. So I'm taking s'mores. And then for my next item, I'm taking hot dogs, grilled hot dogs.
Nice.
And so I feel like I got a very classic dessert locked in, and I've got 2 foods that go very well together. We got chili with all that, and then if somebody wants to make a chili dog and put different toppings, we got all the toppings for the chili out there with them. Obviously, ketchup, mustard, buns. But so far, chili, s'mores, and hot dogs. You've got Chex Mix and Jiffy Pop. You get 2 picks now. What are you taking?
All right, man. So people are going to get really thirsty eating all those salty snacks, right? I mean, it's a given. You're eating all this stuff. Your mouth's drying out. You're going to be looking for something to drink. Corey, what's a Halloween party without a spooky punch? In a cheesy bowl, maybe some fake eyeballs in there. Just a nice citrusy, refreshing blend.
I feel that.
Yeah. Just to kind of, wet the palate and get everyone excited for, what I would consider the main course coming up. So you were mentioning chili, some crock pot food. We're in fall. That's prime crock pot season, my dude. So one of my favorite crock pot recipes and a nostalgic favorite of mine, it's going to be some Italian beefs.
Ooh, that's good.
So we're going to get, that morning, we're going to brown it up, put it in there with some pepperoncini peppers, the nice Italian beef seasoning blend, some mushrooms in there. Of course, this is real easy for people to kind of pick stuff apart. I know I'm kind of in a minority of my friend group of mushrooms. Some people may not like peppers, all that stuff, but we're going to have a nice crock pot full of some yummy, savory Italian beef. We'll put some bread on the side if people want to do that, or if they want to, put some cheese on it, and just get a nice hearty sandwich to warm the soul.
Hey, that's a great pick. My mom normally makes that at Christmas because I love it so much. Shout out, Mom. Hope you're listening.
Shout out Italian beef.
And I hope you're going to do it at Christmas. All right. So far, this is not cutthroat because we've both gone 2 different ways with this.
Yeah.
I was so afraid he was going to take chili.
No.
And I was really afraid because we had a little thing at my house where I made chili for him.
And it was so good.
And I'm going to make it again and bring it to his workplace and let all the guys have it. So I knew that he knew that I'm high on chili right now. And I was like, dude, he's going to grab that. If he is the first pick, he's just going to block me. But we're both taking a very different approach.
So,
All right.
so one thing I want to say, though, you mentioned chili dogs. So we all know the classic chili dog. That's like, close your eyes, think of it, just a hot dog. It's a long, tube of meat. I was almost thinking, since we live in Paducah, have you had a Paducah dog?
Tell me all about it, brother. I've never had
Okay.
it. Tell me.
So I didn't know about this, but this is something that's regional, just to like this area. The way Paducah, a lot of these places do chili dogs here, is they chop the hot dog up in a way that almost makes it lay flat, like a patty. I'll explain. So we're not using hot dog buns on a Paducah dog. We're using hamburger buns. And you cut the hot dog in half, like lengthwise, and then you like butterfly it. So then you have effectively like these little half slabs of hot dog instead of just like a tube. And you can lay it like a patty on the hamburger bun, and then you put your chili and your cheese on it, and then you've got effectively a chili dog, but it's like a sandwich. Some people would argue a hot dog probably is a sandwich, but very interesting concept. Did not know about that. That's in our backyard.
All right, I'm going to let you either accept or deny. I feel like with me listing hot dogs, hot dog buns come with it.
Yeah, of course.
Do hamburger buns come with it, or is that kind of cheating? You can say it, you can block that. It's not going to offend me.
Dude, if someone there is like, Corey, I've never seen a chili dog on a hot dog bun before because I'm from Paducah, you have to be able to entertain them and be like, you're right, dude. Here's a hamburger bun.
So you're going to allow me,
Of course.
to have hamburger buns and hot dog buns for my hot dogs?
Yeah, I don't need those for my Italian beefs.
Okay, cool.
So,
All right, so I've got 2 picks coming.
okay.
So for my next 2, I'm taking the game Dungeons and Dragons. I've never played it. There are some people who are super into it in my friend group. And at the end, we're both going to kind of lay out the ideal like schedule for the party. Sam has kind of been doing some of that with his food choices, letting you know when that food's going to be presented. But I'm going to have Dungeons and Dragons set up in a room. And actually, my party is going to happen in a barn, like a nice, like insulated, we can keep it about 65 degrees inside giant barn. So in the loft is where I'm going to have my games set up. And I'm just going to have a table up there with the Dungeons and Dragons set up, because the people who are into that may want to play that the entire time. They may show up at 1 or 2 in the afternoon and not move till midnight. So I've never played it. I would say a good introduction to that would be watch the show Stranger Things. And in the first episode, they're playing that game. But it is a fantasy role-playing game, and some of those games can go on for days. So, but I'm going to have that available. Any thoughts on that?
No, that'd definitely be a lot of fun. There is a lot of prep work. You got to have a kind of whole story written up as the dungeon master. You have to be one of those people that's really into like, writing short stories and things like that. I didn't realize how much went into it until I started, like you said, having people that played it all the time in my friend group. And I mean, they would be like, all right, the next time we meet up is going to be in like a month or 2 because I ran out of stuff and I have to figure out the rest of the story. And you're like, whoa, this is not Monopoly at all. This is like a totally like huge story.
Yeah, and I obviously know nothing about it. I do have some friends and former students that are all about it. I'm going to say Jeff Basil, that came on last week from Crash Comics. He's going to be one of my guys that kind of facilitates. And then I have a former student who is now in her 20s. She just graduated college, Kendall, and she loves it. So I'm going to invite both of them, and they're going to kind of facilitate that. And probably one of them will be the dungeon master. But yeah, and then my next pick, I'm taking the movie Scream. Now, I wanted to choose at least one classic horror film.
Sure.
Since I can't take Halloween, which changed the game in the late 70s, basically set up the entire 80s. What happened to horror movies is they got crazier and crazier throughout the 80s. And they just kept trying to up the ante with like sex and violence, and the storylines started to really suck. And by like the early 90s, the horror genre was at an all-time low. It was schlocky, a lot of straight to like VHS type stuff, straight to TV movies. But Scream was essentially our generation's Halloween. It resurrected the horror genre. It reintroduced horror to a whole new generation. I remember when it came out, I was in the 5th grade and every kid was talking about it in the hallway. The commercials were terrifying. So I like the movie just for what it is, but also its impact on the genre. But also, if you've never seen Scream, it is a whodunit. There's a huge twist at the end. You just don't see it coming. And Scream is an homage to all of the 70s and 80s slashers. So I feel like it's the perfect horror movie to show at a party. So I got chili, I got s'mores, I got hot dogs, I got Dungeons and Dragons set up in the loft for those who are going to be doing that. And at some point, we're going to show the movie Scream. All right, you got 2 picks coming, Sam.
All right, man. So we're snacking on some Italian beefs. You know, we've had our Chex Mix and we've had some Jiffy Pop and some punch and everything. We're gonna have some music going. You know, just as we're kind of just hanging out. And one of my favorite things that I've discovered recently is some of that cheesy 60s Halloween music that came out, and there was a lot of it beyond just the Monster Mash, which is not my pick, because I've got albums, Corey. So there was a series of albums that came out called Frankie Stein and His Ghouls. And what it was this fake fictional band, and it was like Frankenstein and all these kind of like creepy, ghoulish looking cartoon monsters. And you would listen to the record and it would just sound like early mid 60s, like pop and surf and like blues and things, but they would just have these like outlandishly corny lyrics about like crypts and spiders and stuff. And it's just like this just fun, goofy, lighthearted, campy thing that I think is going to give it a nice classic feel. And in addition to that, you know, we might get a little relaxed while we're listening to that. We might try to play a board game. And some really fun board games. I've seen a lot of them, like if you go to, like my wife loves going to Books A Million. And they have a board game section there. And a popular thing I've seen at this moment is a lot of horror IPs are making board games. So you could probably pick, they have a Scream board game. They've got a Texas Chainsaw Massacre board game. I don't know how you would play that. And they even have, it's like peel your friend's face off and wear it, you know, you win. But, and then they also, which I think would be most interesting to you and I, is they have a Halloween board game. So snuck it in there. Greatest board game ever made? Question mark?
Probably.
No, that's a different episode.
Never even seen it, and probably.
But no, I think we would try to figure that out while some really campy music was playing, because one thing I have learned about these board games, as fun as they are on paper, there's a lot of rules involved. Yeah. And so sometimes you might put it on there, and you may not feel it. And we got backups for that if it gets too confusing. So.
All right. So I got 2 more picks coming. So I have chosen 5 things, and if you've done 6 so far, is that correct?
Yes.
So we're about halfway done, so I'll choose my next 2 things, and then we'll go ahead and recap.
Sure, man.
Again, we'll just list them. For number 6, I'm taking the short film, It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
Oh, good pick. Good.
And because this is going to be an all-ages party, we are going to show that. It's only 25 minutes long. I looked it up this morning. But at some point, we're going to have a short little thing for the children. And that's going to signal then, after they've had their time and they're enjoying their Halloween candy, and we show It's the Great Pumpkin on a big projector in my giant barn, then the children are going to leave. So this is going to happen after they've trick-or-treated, and I'll discuss the format a little bit at the end. But the children will have already went out and did their thing, and they're back in their costumes, And then we're just going to have a little moment where maybe the moms and the children or, the families gather around and we do the 25-minute It's the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown on the projector. And then that's when the grandpa and grandmas want to leave, because at this point it's about 9 o'clock at night. They're taking the babies with them. And the children have exited. And then the party can get turned up a little bit. But yeah, we're all going to watch that, have a family moment. And then my next thing is nachos. Now, I've chosen all of these food items because I think they're freaking amazing, but also they're versatile. So within the bounds of nachos, I can have ground beef, that's allowed. I could even have some like pulled pork barbecue type things, that's allowed, and grilled chicken. So you can mix or match those meats however you want. I'm going to have typical nacho cheese, but also white queso, guacamole, sauces, different types of sauces, olives, and then think about all the stuff that I get with the chili situation. The chili itself. Maybe somebody wants to make chili chips and cheese like they used to have at Wendy's. But I also get all the shredded cheeses. I get the sour cream. I get the chopped onions. So, by having chili and nachos, tons of different flavor possibilities. You can make your plate. You could have a bowl of chili. You can have a bowl of chili with some chips in it. You could do nachos with chili. You can make a chili dog because I got hot dogs. So I feel like my three main food items, chili, hot dogs, and nachos, the possibilities are like limitless, and you could just keep making different kinds of variations of plates throughout the day and not get tired of it. And obviously I'm going to have a bonfire too for people to do the weenie roasts and to make the s'mores. So just real quick to recap, I got chili, s'mores, hot dogs, Dungeons and Dragons, the movie Scream, the short film It's the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown, and I've got nachos. Real quick, do you want to recap?
Sure, yeah, because this will actually lead into my next two. So you walk in to the party. We've got some Chex Mix. We've got some Jiffy Pop popcorn and a fun campy punch bowl. And, while you're eating your snacks, I will be playing some of that Frankie Stein and his ghouls, because we've got a few records to go through, guys, and they're probably, 45 minutes each. So there'll be all sorts of that in the background while we're, joking around and living it up. That Italian beef is going to start smelling pretty good after we've had some snacks. So we're going to go in there and get some of that, chow down. And then once we do that, we're going to try to crack open a board game or something like that. Maybe one of these horror IP ones. We'll just assume, for the sake of keeping it consistent, I'll get the Halloween one. We'll see how that goes. The rules are too intense. We'll find something lighthearted. I got some Cards Against Humanities in the cupboard. No worries. We'll get that out and have some fun. But then once we go from there, we will go into the next part, which is kind of in par with yours, which is we're going to watch a couple of movies. We're going to put on something kind of fun that I like to have in the background. And this will probably be something that will have been on actually the whole time at the party. And it's going to be, you can find these on YouTube. They're such a blast. They used to sell them on like DVDs and VHS tapes. And
Bum fights? No.
Yeah, we're going to watch bum fights. We're going to get real scary. But no, we're going to just have a bunch of like cheesy 50s B-movie trailers playing in the background. So we're going to have all sorts of like, blood creature from Mars, some giant leeches, some Attack of the Giant Crabs, little trailers going on with just all sorts of fun ambiance with the music going. And then we're going to watch that after all that's kind of going on and we kind of wind down from the board game and we'll relax. We'll sit down and we'll watch a nice little lighthearted thing. We're going to watch the Disney Adventures at Ichabod and Mr. Toad.
I don't even know about this.
You don't know about this? Okay.
Chat me up.
Okay, so it's odd. It was theatrical thing that I think came out in like the late 40s, Disney cartoon. So it's a double feature in a way. And there is one that's not even Halloween spooky related, and it's the adventures of Mr. Toad. And it's just like a very kooky Disney cartoon, and it's about a this just obsessive, like reckless Toad, and he's kind of dressed up like a little gentleman and has an estate. It's it's Disney, so they're just like they're moving animal characters that act like humans. And no, his whole thing is he sees like a car go by or something, and it's like some old little Model T, and he gets obsessed with it, wants to get one, and he just starts blowing like money. He's a very wealthy Toad, and he ends up like selling his estate or losing it in like a gambling thing, and it gets taken over by weasels. Like, and they're not just any weasels. They're like the cheesy like 1940s gangster weasels. So they're wearing like turtlenecks and little like newsboy caps and talking like meow, see, and toots and all that. And yeah, they just take over his place and start trashing it, and they have to get that house back. And the rest of the movie is them trying to get that figured out. But that doesn't sound very Halloween. That sounds kind of crazy. Kind of sounds like a bad, cold medicine dream or something. You wake up from it and you're like, what just happened?
As you describe it, I feel like we watched that in elementary school.
You probably did. I probably awoken some like really specific memory you had where you were like, it's nap time, we're going to put this on. And you're like, I don't know what this is. And you probably think about it every once in a while.
Yeah, dude, we had that. We had Ricky Tikki Tavi, is that what it's called? The mongoose that kills the snakes.
Yeah.
We watched that. And there's the one where the dude plays the washboard. He's like in a band. He's some type of rat creature or muskrat. He's like a muskrat or something. I remember we watched that too. And then there was this Pilgrim one we always watched on Thanksgiving.
Nice.
And they had a song that was like, Mayflower, Mayflower.
So the real star, though, is the second feature, which is Ichabod. And it's the tale of Sleepy Hollow, but it's like this cozy, animated, like old school Disney, and it's got all these jack-o'-lanterns and falling leaves and kind of spooky dead-looking trees, and it all builds up to like the big chase at the end, of course, with Ichabod Crane and the Headless Horseman, and it is amazing. So good.
So this is kind of like a 2-in-1 situation.
Yeah.
But it's completely legal because this is how these films were released as one film.
Exactly.
Totally cool. All right. So you've now chosen 7 or 8 things, maybe?
Yes.
And I've chosen 7. All right. I've got charades. Now, what I like about charades, it doesn't require a lot of setup. Everybody knows what that is. But we will, when this happens, this will be after the children have left, and I'll describe the schedule a little more here in a bit. At this point, folks might have been drinking, whatever, because I'm not providing drinks, by the way. I'm going to be that guy that says, I'm bringing all the food, just bring your favorite drink. And then I'll also tell people, if you're bringing alcohol, you're free to drink it, but let's just keep it between the lines, especially while the children are around, and let's not get sloppy drunk at any point. But anyways, so the kids are gone, we're playing charades, and I think we're going to break up into teams. We're not just going to do like half the room versus the other half. We're going to have a little tournament. And what will be fun is we'll potentially just do categories for each round. So like team 1 versus team 2, we might have like, say, 3 rounds, and we might do like sports. The next round may be horror. The next round may be destinations. And we'll just, maybe the team that isn't playing at the time, or the teams that aren't playing, they might ask AI, hey, give me a list of famous sports figures. And then they'll put that in a hat. And then the teams that are playing, they have to draw a name out. And if it's like, Travis Kelce, you may try to act out playing football and making out with Taylor Swift, or I don't know. So, but yeah, charades is a lot of fun, especially if people are loose and some of the folks have been drinking. And it doesn't really require much of a setup. And we'll have a tournament and maybe even do a little buy-in. We may all agree we're all throwing $20 in, and then the team that wins gets to split the pot. Whatever. All right. Now, the other game I'm going to take, I'm going to have a Nintendo 64 up in the loft. So the Dungeons and Dragons people are going to have their whole setup. And let's be real, if they show up in the afternoon, that group of people's only coming down to use the bathroom and get food. So they're just going to be up there doing their thing all day and probably all night. But I'll have the Nintendo 64 set up. I'm thinking even on an old school box TV just for the effect. And I'm going to have the game Super Smash Brothers. So it wouldn't be fair if I left it open-ended and just say, I'll have a 64 with like 20 games. That's not fair. So I got to choose a game. And anytime I've had any type of get-together at my house and the games come out, the consoles, video games, that is the number one game that everybody wants to play. And what I've noticed is you'll have people 5 to 10 years older than me that will play that game. And then you'll have people who are like 20 who started playing some version of that as a child. The other cool thing about that game, you can have 4 players at once. So 4 different people can play. And even if you don't know what you're doing, you can be a button masher and just sit there and mash buttons. So even the children that have no idea what they're doing, or some of the guys' girlfriends or wives who've never really played video games, they can even participate and just mash buttons. So charades and Super Smash Brothers for Nintendo 64.
That's gonna be hard to beat. But I got let's see. After we get through the kind of cozy movie, we'll take a little break, maybe go back to the kitchen, and there's gonna be some sweet treats in there. And what I'm gonna have in there is some of those delicious, plain Jane, but very nostalgic and warm and cozy inside, Pillsbury Halloween sugar cookies with the little pumpkins or the ghosts on them, whichever one were at the grocery store when I went. Gonna have a nice little spread of those on a plate, and we're gonna chow on those, and then go back and we're gonna watch something a little bit more grown up, and but it's gonna be fun and campy. And like you were talking about, like 80s slasher movies and everything that kind of happened after Halloween, there's some insane stuff. There's movies like, Chopping Mall or Slumber Party Massacre and just all sorts of just, what are we watching type stuff. But one that I think is a total blast to watch. And it's not really like slashers, but a big threat that's just as, if not a little bit more scary to me nonetheless, is zombies.
I've never
Zombies are pretty
seen it.
freaky.
Chat me up on that too.
All right, so no, it's not the movie Zombies. The movie is called Return of the Living Dead.
Oh, okay, yeah. Still haven't seen it, so chat me up.
And it's so good. So it's a 80s zombie movie, and everyone involved in it, like all your protagonists, are like the most 80s caricature people ever. Like there's like a group of punks, and they have like mohawks and leather jackets and studs and like leopard print. There's like older protagonists that wear like zip up like track suits, like walking around, and then there's one there's one black guy in the whole like group, and he's got a jerry curl. And I'm just like, this is the most like dated like thing I've ever seen, and it's the best. The score is amazing. It's just like this 80s rock, almost kind of sounds like Beastie Boys, but I don't think they're doing the score. I could be mistaken though. But the main theme that keeps blasting, which you don't picture from a zombie movie, is like, do you want to party? It's party time. And from what it is I think they actually shot some of the movie in Louisville, Kentucky, if I'm not mistaken. And it's pretty much the plot of it is it's based on Night of the Living Dead. It's technically a sequel to it, much later in the fact. Night of the Living Dead, of course, very classic horror movie that birthed the zombie movie genre as we know it. And that was Romero, and that was like the late 1960s black and white film. Well, mid-80s, this one comes out, and they pretty much start out in like a medical lab supply warehouse where they, rent out like you know, like all the stuff you'd see in a doctor's office or a medical college, like tools and like dioramas and even like cadavers and stuff like that. And this one guy's like just working there as a part-time job, and his boss is telling him, he's like, because they start talking back and forth, and he realizes he's into kind of like creepy stuff. And the guy tells him, he's like, you know that movie Night of the Living Dead? And he's like, yeah, of course I do. And he's like, well, that was a real thing that happened. It was covered up. And he's like, what are you talking about? He's like, check this out. And they go into the basement, and there is a canister that's like pressurized, and it's got a zombie in it that was like contained, just like totally dormant and presumably like, you know, dead or unconscious or whatever. And it was from that event. It was a real event in the universe of this movie that happened. And they accidentally hit a button on it, and it depressurizes and shoots all this gas out of the canister. And it brings dead stuff back to life. Like all this gas goes up in the air. And so there's some cadavers in the freezer at this place. And they start hearing a knocking and screaming on the freezer door. And they're just like, you've got to be kidding me. And then sure enough, like a naked like cadaver just runs out and starts like attacking one of the guys. And all this stuff starts happening. Steam comes out from the roof of this place and condensates in the sky and turns into rain. And they're near a graveyard. And this graveyard just totally reanimates because this rain with all of this gas from that canister is just going into the ground. And there's some punks hanging out nearby in the graveyard, because that's what you do as a cool goth or punk person on Halloween, is you go to the graveyard and you blast a bunch of your Misfits tunes or whatever.
Especially in an 80s movie. And somebody had a mohawk, right?
Yeah, of course. He had a mohawk, and not only that, but had a piercing, which was a chain going from his nose to his ear. Kind of like the bass player in Skid Row.
Nice.
Reference there. But this is the movie, Corey, that births the zombies' stereotypical love for brains. Because it's not like other zombie movies where they just eat you, like totally tear you apart. They just want your brains.
So that's a very good pick for lots of reasons. You got a major subgenre of horror, zombies.
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot of 80s nostalgia. And it is a horror film, but it's fun. A lot of comedy. Very good pick. And this would be a great time for me to go ahead and tell y'all where I'm playing. So tomorrow, while Sam is checking his list, checking it twice, I'm going to let you know tomorrow night on Halloween, I'm playing at Teddy's in Heron, Illinois from 8 p.m. to 1 a.m., 5-hour show. You want to talk about a great Halloween party? Every year that goes off the rails in a good way. So you got to come see it for yourself. Everybody dresses up. Biggest thing going in the area, Heron, Illinois, Teddy's tomorrow, 8 to 1. And then Saturday, I'm playing at Von Jakob Winery from 2 to 5. That's in Alto Pass, Illinois. And Saturday night, I will be at Coelho, Illinois, at the Italian Club from 8 to 11. So 3 shows this weekend. Make sure you come hang with me. All right, how many picks do you have left?
I just got 3 left.
All right, so you got one more coming before I choose again.
Yeah. So we'll recap. So we're watching that after we go back to the kitchen and get some delicious nostalgic sugar cookies, the Pillsbury ones. So once we do that, we're feeling kind of goofy and fun. We might go on to our next game, which is, like I said, I've always got this in the cupboard. It's a fun game, especially when you've got some young adults or some people around. Really, I think lets you know a bunch of things about people, and that is that's some Cards Against Humanity. It's a very, very fun game where it's just kind of like it's like Mad Libs, but there's just some very outlandish stuff in there, and just a really good time. Always sure to make a lot of laughs and cackling. So
maybe you should bring that over.
Yeah.
We do chili again. All right, I haven't done any music yet, so I got 3 picks left, but I'm going to take 2, and then Sam's going to choose some more before I take my last pick. I am taking AC/DC Live from 1992. So my party, yeah, it's a Halloween party, and we've got the elements of Halloween. We'll have the decorations up. Obviously, we're doing you know, Charlie Brown, and we're doing Scream, but it's also a fall party. October 31st is like the perfect time for all the fall stuff. So, you know, we got the bonfire that we're cooking the s'mores and the hot dogs on. And I'm in a barn, a big barn that's insulated, and we're going to be able to keep it about 60 to 65. But we'll have the main sliding door open. And so a lot of the men are probably just going to be hanging around the bonfire, you know, roasting the hot dogs and just doing what men do. Some of them probably have a little dip in there, spitting, whatever. But that's where the music's going to be playing, is out in the yard area. And we're just going to be having that AC/DC going. And I chose that for a few reasons. That album was huge when I was a little kid. You would see that it was kind of a blurry cover and had Angus Young kind of jumping. But I feel like every teenager I knew when I was a little boy was blaring that cassette and then eventually that CD. Every football player kid had that album. And at every football game I ever attended, from the 8th grade through high school, there were all these AC/DC songs playing. But I wanted to choose that one because at that point, by 1992, about 95% of every AC/DC song that we would know that's a big hit had already been released, and they do them all on that album. But it's got a lot of energy, you know, because it's live, and it's really good live versions of everything, and it's a lengthier album. So I'm going to have, I don't know the exact running time, but even if we just played that on a loop, you're not going to hear the same song twice within 90 minutes. You know, so it's going to be a good mix to keep going. And who doesn't like AC/DC? But also, that just signals fall to me. It makes me think high school football. You know, the weather's 55 degrees, it's 40 degrees. Like, that just goes with fall. And then I'm going to choose another album. I'm taking Def Leppard, Hysteria. So one thing I want to have all the different kind of eras present at my party, a little something for everybody of every age, and I feel like I've done that with my different choices of things. But Sam was able to achieve that 80s nostalgia through his last movie pick, Return of the Living Dead. I'm going to achieve it through having the Dungeons and Dragons up there, but also just having AC/DC and then Def Leppard, Hysteria. That album is one of the greatest rock albums ever. It had hit after hit after hit after hit. So in the yard, outside of the barn, around the bonfire, we're just going to have a loop of AC/DC Live 1992 and then the entire Hysteria album. And in fact, I think this is legal, but you can step in and stop it if you want. I'll have them all on some type of iTunes shuffle, just those two albums, so you'll just hear different songs from both albums being spit out. Is that cool? Can I do that?
That's totally cool, yeah.
All right, so that's what's going to be going. That's going to be all the music we have, but that'll be outside. So when you're out in the fall air around the fire, you got those nostalgic vibes. Maybe if you're a little older, take you back to when kids used to make bonfires and stand around, and that's what parties were for years. But yeah, so that's my music. I got AC/DC Live 1992 and Def Leppard's Hysteria. And so I only get one more pick, but you get to choose a few more before I do.
Sure. So I'm going to move on to a couple of pieces of music too, and I'm going to do for something very similar where I'm going to put them on a playlist and just going to shuffle back and forth. And, you know, we've got some Frankie Stein and his Ghouls, you know, blasting, just some real fun, campy stuff. But we'll go to something that still has some camp to it as far as content, but, you know, some more serious music. It's not some gimmicky holiday fictional band. And I'm going to be shuffling the Misfits' greatest hits with the Cramps' greatest hits. Two bands really popular in the late 70s, early 1980s that were, you know, just very influenced by classic, you know, cheesy drive-in horror movies and like Universal horror movies. And then they also just have like some fun, just like life themes like in their stuff. But a lot of their stuff is upbeat, really catchy. You can tune into it and bob your head, or you can just have it going in the background and really, really enjoy it. But yeah, I love listening to stuff like that. It's just keeps the energy going in the party. Some people can actually sing along to that. I think if you put on some Frankie Stein, I don't think anyone's going to be, they're probably going to be more confused or like tuning out and talking over it. But, you know, that's what I would do. Those two.
And you had a good system, too, of having that kind of plan as people arrive.
Yeah.
But then as the vibe picks up, you're going to have Misfits' greatest hits and Cramp's greatest hits. That's very good choice. All right. Do you have any picks left? Or is that 12 for you?
I think that is it for me.
All right. I get one more. I'm literally taking football. I will have a football because, again, this is going to be out in the country a little bit in a giant insulated barn with a nice loft, bonfire about 20 feet outside the barn. That's where the music's playing. But the idea is we want people to be showing up throughout the day whenever they want, as early as lunchtime if they want. So I'm going to have a football present because there is no fall party that would be complete, or even a Thanksgiving party, at that, if the guys don't get at least a few games of touch football in. So as the night goes on, that's what a lot of the younger boys and the teenagers are going to be doing out there. The boys are going to be playing touch football, maybe tackle. Hey, I don't care. As I always tell my nephews, do what you want, just don't hit each other in the face. And if your mom gets mad at me, I'm going to beat you up later. Those were my rules for them when they were little. If you guys want to tackle each other, I don't care. Do what you're going to do. Just don't punch in the face. And if you get hurt and your mom gets mad at me, you're going to be even more hurt later. So we're going to let the boys kind of police themselves within reason. But yeah, we're going to have a football. And I think this is legal. I'm just, thinking ahead. I'll have a few of them out there just in case, the air gets let out in one of them because we're choosing the game football. But I'll have some footballs out there for people to play. So that's it. So real quick, let's just name our things.
Sure.
And then here in a little bit, we'll give the order of events one more time and the overall vibe of the party. So I'll just name all of my stuff real quick. I've got chili. I've got s'mores, hot dogs, Dungeons and Dragons, the movie Scream, the short film It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. I've got nachos, charades, Super Smash Brothers for the Nintendo 64. I've got AC/DC Live in 1992. I've got Def Leppard Hysteria. And I've got football. And those are my 12 choices. What do you got?
Cool. So I've got Frankie Stein and his ghouls blasting in the background. I've got some Chex Mix in a big old bowl. I've got some Jiffy Pop in a big old bowl. A nice creepy themed punch bowl. It's going to be nice and refreshing. Some delicious savory crock pot Italian beef sandwiches. We're going to be diving into a horror IP board game, see if we can play it and have some fun. But if the rules get too crazy, we're going to go into some Cards Against Humanity. While we're doing all that stuff, we're going to have some Cramps and Misfits Greatest Hits blasting in the background, and then we're going to put on some Adventures of Mr. Toad and Ichabod Crane, followed by Return of the Living Dead.
All right. So those are all of our choices. Now we're going to do a quick shootout. We're going to do Halloween candy. We both get 5 choices.
Nice.
Since I went first with the 12 main things, Sam's going to go first, and we're just going to go back and forth, and we're each choosing 5. So you go first.
Man, first one, elephant in the room for me, and the thing that makes me think of Halloween. When I would get these in my little trick-or-treat bucket, my little pumpkin, it's Reese's Cups, man.
That was going to be my number one, so that's fair and square.
And not just any Reese's Cups, Corey, but the pumpkin ones that are a little bit thicker and just have a little bit more of that chocolate and peanut butter, and they just make you feel warm and cozy inside because you can only get them in October and late September. So.
All right, you can veto this. Do I get regular ones if you took the pumpkin ones? You can say no, you won't offend me.
You can do that.
Okay, so
I'm just mini ones.
I'm just going to take plain Jane Reese's.
All right.
That's my number one for candy.
You got it.
All right. I'm going to make a list of this too while you're doing it. All right. So you got the pumpkin Reese's. Yeah. I got regular Reese's. What's your next pick?
All right, man. My next one, we're going to go with something a little fruity. I don't seek these out, but when I get them in my trick-or-treat basket, I always liked them. They were a good chocolate break, and that'd be some Fun Dip. It's kind of a messy candy. The dip is nice, but the candy kind of stinks. It's like eating a piece of chalk. But when you dip it with that dip, it's awesome.
Oh,
all
yeah.
that stuff.
I get all the kids charged up.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I'm taking 3 Musketeers.
Okay.
And I tell you what, I'm not trying to sway the viewers here because we're going to ask you to vote in the comments. But I'm going full size with this stuff. I'm not doing any of that fun size stuff.
Oh yeah.
So you're going to get a full candy bar. You're going to get straight up whole Reese's cups. You can take as many as you want. And you get a big old normal size Three Musketeers bar. So.
We're going rich gated community neighborhood.
Yeah, I mean, in this fantasy, if I have a piece of land and a decent house and a big old barn, I'm definitely pulling down $100,000 a year in this fantasy. So let's just roll with that.
Oh, dude, this is totally tangent, but real quick, I didn't say where my Halloween party was.
Yeah, where's it going to be?
It's going to be at just that classic, like I like to call them Nana or grandma houses, where it's just like this little ranch house in a neighborhood that's just like wood paneling, shag carpet, linoleum floors in the kitchen, and it's going to be decorated in a real campy construction paper, cheesy way, like a Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown.
Cool.
So, yeah.
All right, what's your next candy?
All right, man. My next candy while we're hanging out in the grandma house is, I'm going to go reach for some Snickers bars because I love me a Snickers. It's got that, kind of Three Musketeers thing going on inside with some caramel, but it's also got, that little crunch of some nuts in there. So, right. And full size, of course.
I'm taking Starbursts, and I'm going to get the most elaborate bags I can with as many flavors, like the big bags that you sell at Halloween. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to load up on a bunch of those and have them available so people can find a color they like or a flavor they like. And, I need to mix it up. Not just chocolate and savory, peanut butter, chocolate, caramel, but we're going to have some Starbursts.
Nice. One thing that I always thought of for Halloween that was fun. So Tootsie Rolls, of course, classic candy. But one I would always see around Halloween is not just like the regular rolls, but like the big like log.
Oh, yeah.
Like
it's almost like squarish.
Yeah, like it's like you could build a log cabin with them instead of just like these little tiny like tubes.
It's got the little like cardboard. Oh,
yeah. Dude, those you would chew on them like a cow in a field, but they were so good. So we're definitely gonna have some of those.
All right, well I'm gonna let you pronounce this word because my sister makes fun of me how I say it. What does that say?
Ghirardelli.
Ghirardelli chocolates. So this is kind of some of that high-end chocolate. Again, this is the stuff I buy when I'm trying to impress a girl, basically.
Some Queen Anne cherries for the kids.
We're not doing that. We're doing Ghirardelli. And I'm going to get the nice, like chocolate, sea salt, and caramel Ghirardelli squares. And kind of the theme of all of these, besides the Starbursts, or these are things people can take out and make s'mores with. Because I chose s'mores, and I get Hershey's with the s'mores. But now, I've got Reese's, I got Three Musketeers. You wouldn't want to do a Starburst. But you could do the Ghirardelli sea salt and caramel. You could also make a s'more with that. Or you could just eat any of this candy by itself. But anyways.
That honestly sounds amazing.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good, man. All right, you got one more candy, dog. What are you taking?
All right, so this one is actually kind of a new favorite, and I'm going to be seeking this out more. They came out, I think, in 2020 or 2021, so this isn't an old candy. This isn't like Hershey bars or something that came out like, 1909 or something. And that is Nerds Clusters. And you've eaten Nerds candy, right? Everyone's snacked on those. You get the box and like half of it's grape and half of it's like cherry or strawberry, and you just mix it around. It's just pure sugar, pretty much. But they've got a nice tang to them. Well, they came out with those in the early '80s, and then I think in the '90s or early 2000s they came out with the Nerd Ropes. So in 2000, 2020s, let's just say, like a few years ago, they came out with Nerds Clusters. And what they are effectively is that Nerds Rope with that awesome, like kind of sour, cherry gummy center, but they're just coated in Nerds candy. And they're these little balls, and they come in like, those little movie theater concession style boxes. And it is like a box of crack for me. They're so good.
That's a good segue. My last pick is actually crack. They call it booger sugar. No, I'm kidding. Joking. My last pick, so we got all the different types of Starbursts. I'm taking Tootsie Roll Tootsie Pops, the big suckers.
Oh, man.
and I'm going to get a giant bag of those with every flavor. And so, just to recap our candies, I've got Starbursts, a giant bag of all the flavors you can think of. There's a cop, probably should put my phone down. And Tootsie Roll Tootsie Pops. But then I got my 3 chocolate ones. I got Reese's, 3 Musketeers, and the Ghirardelli Sea Salt and Caramel, which can also be taken outside and used to make s'mores with. Those are my 5 candies. What are your 5 candies?
Yeah, man, my 5 candies. I've got some Snickers bars. I've got the pumpkin Reese's. And I've got the Nerds Clusters, of course. And then we've got, what were the other ones? I had some Fun Dip. And let's see, the Tootsie Rolls, the big logs.
Yeah.
The Tootsie Rolls on a piece of cardboard.
There you go. All right, so we're going to make one final run through. We're going to talk order of events, setting. Now, we've already said most of this, but we're going to do like a final 3 to 5 minute summation of our parties individually here. Do you want to go first?
I'll do it, man.
All right. So, and then real quick before he does, sorry to cut you off, but in the comments on Facebook, on YouTube, on Spotify, comment whose party you would rather attend. Or if you think both of our parties suck, tell us that and tell us why you would change. Or maybe say, I'd rather go to Sam's party, but here's what I would tweak. Whatever. Give us your thoughts. We want your feedback on this one. We're going to have Toby set it up to where you can comment. So, all right. Sam?
All right, man. So setting in the party, like I hadn't said earlier, was it's going to be just in a neighborhood, like suburb, little house. I like to think of it as like I said, like a nanny house or like a grandma's house, like when you're growing up as a kid. Like you go in there and it's just this 70s, 60s looking time capsule. You walk in, a little tiny brick house, and it's got the wood paneling and the slightly dimmer, warm lighting and the linoleum kitchen that looks kind of tacky and all that good stuff. Some cozy little, slightly kind of itchy couches, but they look cute and you feel warm and nice in there. So you walk in. I've got my decorations that looks like the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown. We got some construction paper rings hanging all over the place and some cardboard cutout pumpkins and black cats and witches and spiders and fake webs everywhere. And come in, costumes optional. And we're going to have some Frankie Stein and his Ghouls blasting, some nice little 60s vinyl throwback there. And you can head on into the kitchen where I've got a couple of bowls of some dry snacks. We got some Chex Mix and we got some Jiffy Pop popcorn and a nice fun spooky punch bowl with some dry ice in it to kind of give it, a nice fogging effect. Some fake eyeballs in there and some gummy worms. And we sip on that while we're listening to records and kind of comment on each other's costumes. And there might be some trick-or-treaters kind of interrupting, the party, which we'll have one of those buckets out there with the motorized hand that kind of like scares them. And so that'll kind of keep them at bay while we all hang out and keeps them from TPing the house. And we're going to get really hungry after eating those snacks and socializing. And we're going to go to the kitchen again, get some crock-pot Italian beefs and snack on those. And we're going to go into the living room while that music's blasting. We might even change the music, We'll put on something that's kind of cool. And we'll put on the Misfits Greatest Hits / the Cramps Greatest Hits playlist. Blast that while we're chowing down. And whole time in the background, we're just going to have these like YouTube like playlists going on the TV. And it's just going to be like these old black and white horror movie trailers, like some Universal Monsters, some B-movie type stuff. Just real corny, cheesy with all the suspenseful music and people in bad costumes walking around. And chow down while that's all going on in the background. And we'll move on to a board game. We'll crack open one of these horror movie IP ones. We might do Halloween the board game, see how that goes. If it gets too complicated, we'll move to something really fun and kind of basic like Cards Against Humanity. See where people's sense of humor is and just get everyone cackling and all red-faced and all that good stuff. And get some more treats after that. The oven should be ready by then, dinging off. We'll have some of those Pillsbury sugar cookies with the little pumpkins or the ghosts on them. We'll snack on those, come back with some punch. and put on our first movie of the night, which will be the Adventures of Mr. Toad and Ichabod. And once we feel all good about that, we'll kind of unwind a little more, and then we'll put on Return of the Living Dead, something that's real campy, cheesy, and fun, and just a little bit more adult, but nonetheless, real good campy. Nothing too serious, nothing too insanely shocking, just a good time.
All right. Now, one of my favorite things about Sam's scenario is he said that classic grandma's house. So I'm picturing Stranger Things because it's set in the early 80s to start with. So those kids, their homes are all built in the late 60s through the 70s. Let's say you want a nice home. That's going to be pivotal to both Sam's fantasy party and mine.
It's everything.
Then you need to contact Celia Robertson at House to Home Realty. If you live in Southern Illinois, she is licensed in Illinois, unfortunately not Kentucky. But if you are in the Illinois portion of our demographic here, and you want either that classic ranch style house or you want that little bit outside of town country house that I'm going to have my party in with the big barn, Celia can help you out. Whatever you're looking for, you're going to contact House to Home Realty. And Sam had mentioned he might put together a little collage of like some trailers or something of some old movies. Well, you know who else could do that for you? Toby Glass at Metropolis Music and Media. If you need any type of editing done digitally, Toby's your guy. You want to do some sound work at your church. Maybe you want to have a nice party like the ones we're planning, and you're not a musician, so you're not going to have the stuff that we do to set up a sound system. Call Toby. He will have that. He'll come out and set it up for you. Maybe even DJ your party. He does a lot of DJing. He does weddings. He does photography. Toby can do it all. So, House to Home Realty and Metropolis Music and Media, those are our sponsors. All right, my party. So, this is going to be a little bit outside of town, but still close enough that you can make that run into town, 10 to 15 minutes into town. That's my dream scenario in this fantasy world of mine. I'm going to have that house one day. Just a little bit outside of town, a little bit in the country, kind of take me back to my roots. Going to have maybe like a nice ranch style house, but the thing in my party is the barn. Okay, we got a nice big barn. And it's rectangular shaped. Maybe there's a few little rooms in it. Obviously, we got plumbing out there. We can heat it and cool it. It's insulated, but we got a real nice loft space. And I'm not going to be one of those people that junks up my barn. All right? Might pull in the vehicles, might have, some tools on one of the walls so I can do some work on the lawnmower or whatever. But for the most part, it's going to be nice and clean. People can hang out in there. So, on one end of the barn, we got the projector set up. Then you go towards the middle, you got the big sliding doors. We're going to have those cracked. And then on the other side, we got our table set up with all the food. And this party, because it's a Saturday, you come out any time of day, come hang out with us. We're going to tell people they can show up from noon on. We're going to tell people they can stay as late as they want. If they think they might get a little tipsy and don't want to drive home, hey, bring a sleeping bag. We'll have some hay or whatever. You stay as long as you want. We got a few extra bedrooms in the house. So, starting at about noon, some of the dads are going to start coming out. Like my brother and some of his friends and those guys. We're going to start going ahead and just grilling some hot dogs. Anybody wants to hang out, have a hot dog? The kids might come out and start throwing the football around. Maybe the ladies are going to start setting up the decorations. But on our food items, we're going to have chili, we're going to have hot dogs, we're going to have nachos. And I just feel like the possibilities are endless with those three things, right? Like I said, you can make chili cheese nachos, you can make chili dogs, you can do all kinds of different variations with the nacho stuff, chicken, pork, beef. You got just a classic bowl of chili. We got all the accoutrements. You got that going. And because we got a fire going, you can make a s'more at any point you want. And also, not just the Hershey's, we got the different Halloween candies you can throw in your s'more. So we got the food all taken care of. But at some point, we're gonna crank that playlist kind of late afternoon. We're gonna get that going, and more people are gonna start arriving. And we are going to just let people mingle up in the loft. There's going to be Dungeons and Dragons going on. We're going to have that Nintendo 64 up there. Like I said, the young boys probably going to be out there playing football all day. And when it starts to get dark, the kids are going to go off and trick or treat. We're all going to be mingling, standing around the fire, coming in and out, making our plates of food, maybe playing the Nintendo 64. But then about 7:30, the children are all going to come back from trick-or-treating. And let's just say they're disappointed. They didn't get all the candy they want. Hey, we're going to have an unlimited amount of Reese's, Three Musketeers, Starburst, Ghirardelli Sea Salt and Caramel Squares, and Tootsie Roll Tootsie Pops. They can supplement their little pails. And then we're all going to sit down and have a 25-minute family time. We're all going to watch It's the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown together. Then the older folks and the little kids are all going to go home. And then we're going to do charades. We're going to have several rounds of charades, maybe for an hour and a half. Everybody's going to buy in. The team that wins gets some money. Now at this point, it's about 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. And we're going to show the movie Scream on the big projector. Couples are going to be cuddled up. Maybe some of the teenagers are going to try to steal that first kiss. And then when everything's over about midnight, we're going to tell people, hey, just do what you want. You want to hang around, keep eating. You want to go up in the loft and watch the people who are undoubtedly still playing Dungeons and Dragons. You do that. So, that's my party. Sam had a great party. I feel like I would love to attend either one of these. Do you have any final thoughts?
Man, I'm excited. Tomorrow's the day, man. 31st. It's always a fun lead up whenever you get into that like late September and you just start to see it popping up in the stores. And I get so excited for this time every year. And I'm going to be a sad guy on November 1st, but man, I'm going to live it up tomorrow, though. That's for sure.
You got any shows coming up?
Yeah, actually, tomorrow. I'm going to be playing with the boys in Black Patch Revival at Dry Ground Brewing Company, a cool little bar in the Coke plant, Midtown Paducah, right by Jefferson Street, the most hoppin' street for trick-or-treating in the entire city, I think. And we'll be playing some old school rock and roll with Kind of Sort of Maybe, a cool band that I've never heard before, but really good friends. And yeah, I'm excited to hear them for the first time. Music starts at 8 o'clock, and we'll play right after them.
Awesome. And I forgot to mention in my recap, we'll have that AC/DC and Def Leppard going. And you know what? You come to watch me tomorrow night in Heron, and I'm going to play some AC/DC and some Def Leppard. So remember, I got the 3 shows this week. Tomorrow, Heron. Saturday, I'm at Von Jakob during the day, and I'm at the Italian Club Saturday night. Well, Sam, this has been awesome, man. Like I said, the people really loved you a few weeks ago. And I'm looking forward to you and I just having like a hangout with some of our friends at some point.
Oh, man, it's inevitable.
And good luck with your shows tomorrow, brother.
You too, man.
All right, well, we'll see you soon.
Rockstar Podcast.